So Josh, I have
We'll go ahead and get started. Good evening, everybody. Apparently, Alex is having trouble with video, but
No, it's okay.
but
Intentional.
intentional, right? So Blunty will not be joining us this evening. He is kind of wrapping up a big move, so he's still getting kind of
Oh,
acclimated
sure.
to.
He could show up for Bardwell on the news last night, but he can't show up for us.
I think he's still in a little bit of
Shows where we
situation,
rank.
but yeah, well, you know what?
They
But
get a few more
I think
viewers on
we'll,
the other channel.
yeah, smidge, right? But rest assured, he's still part of the team and a very valued member of our team. So no stress there. But we do have Dave, Alex, and Dan, as well as myself this evening. And obviously, first and foremost on tonight's news. Hold on. Let me actually share my screens here. Let's see. Should be the right one. And we're going to go for better text. Is the corrupted file that's to blame for the FAA aviation stoppage that delayed thousands of flights. So, just in case the thousands upon thousands of canceled and delayed flights over the holidays didn't phase you, today was a complete stoppage where thousands of flights were again canceled due to the notice to air mission system, um, which sends pilots vital information they need to fly. A corrupted file affected both the primary and backup system, and the FAA is continuing a thorough review to determine the root cause of the notice to air missions system outage, the agency said in a statement. So, in case you're not kind of up on the air missions, that's the new gender neutral terminology. It used to be notices to airmen.
Yeah, I'm really
Um,
surprised at how quickly that's been adopted by a lot of the news
right.
agencies and everything. And the FPVFC was on the tasking group that helped recommend that. Yay, Dave!
Right.
yeah, I led the research team. We it was I was the one giving the writers the proof points as to why this is important, and it's worth a read. The two women who led it and presented at that. Yeah. Uh, if you're anywhere in the planet and you have a relationship with a woman in any manner, this is worth reading. It's important.
So, our preliminary work has traced the outage to a damaged database file. At this time, there's no evidence of a cyber attack. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg said earlier in the day that officials had not completely ruled out the possibility of a cyber attack, but so far there's no direct indication of any kind of external or nefarious activity. One of the questions we need to look at right now, and one of the things I'm asking from the FAA, is what's the state of the art in this form of message traffic? Buttigieg told NBC News' Andrea Mitchell, and again, how is it possible for there to be this level of disruption? Uh, President Biden ordered an investigation after he was briefed on the situation by Buttigieg. So yeah, it's an
So
incredibly
you wonder,
complex.
you
Go ahead.
wonder if they go after and try to fix the IT side of this. If it's going to dawn on someone that these things are nearly unintelligible, and then they're going to go after meat towers and what is it, TARs and METAFs? Is that it, Alex? So I mean, there's a whole string of systems that are just so outdated that we have to learn when you take a Part 107. And of course,
Yeah.
you have to learn if you're a private pilot or a commercial
Mhm.
pilot.
Let's see, it's an incredibly complex system, so glitches or complications happen all the time, but we can't allow them to ever lead to this level of disruption, and we won't ever allow them to lead to a safety problem. The FAA lifted the ground stop at 8:50 in the morning, and normal air traffic operations began resuming gradually. But by then, airports across the country were already crowded with frustrated travelers and a backlog of flights.
So how
As of
long was it
noon,
down for total?
let's
It was
see.
They
Yeah, good
lifted it
question.
by
So
8:50.
I saw the news on, it was around 5:30 in the morning Eastern. So, but I don't know how long it had already
They said
been.
it started there around 10, 11 last night,
Okay.
Oh goodness.
But-
So
but I don't think that's when they started pausing flight or holding flights.
Yeah.
at least a good 8 hours, right?
So
Yeah.
explain quickly why they would have to pause commercial flights because the NOTAM system was down.
So, from what I understand, the NOTAM system is what advises pilots of several things. It could be adverse conditions, it could be other flights in the area, it could be airspace that's been shut down for one reason or another. There's a whole host of different things that the Notice to Air Missions system kind of complies with, and
Right.
this is also important.
Not
Go ahead.
weather, but anything in the uh, on the airport, in the sky, in other aircraft, VIP situations,
Sure. So
links,
for some
Runway
amount of time,
TFRs.
for some amount of time, things don't change, and it's not a big deal if it's down. But eventually, it builds up to be, oh,
Correct.
there's enough that's changed out there that people need to know about.
Right, and there were
Mhm.
plenty in the news saying that this was the air traffic control system, which of course it is not. This is a separate system based on fixed characters, spitting out effectively teletype type of communications around the country.
So as of noon, more than 7,300 flights within, to, and out of the U.S. were delayed, according to the online flight tracker FlightAware, and more than 1,100 flights were listed as canceled. So massive disruption. So let's see. The first sign that this was likely to be a massive incident came around 7:20 a.m. when the FAA sent out a tweet ordering the airlines to pause all domestic departures
What?
until 9 a.m.
They sent out a tweet
That's what
telling.
this says.
I hope they have a more
Eh.
official channel than just that.
Did they have a blue check?
I think all you had to do is pay for that now.
That's it. $8 and you're in.
$8. To allow the agency to validate the integrity of flight and safety information as it worked to restore the NOTAM system. All flights already in the sky were safe to land, the FAA said. Let's see. Pilots check the NOTAM system before they fly. A notice to air missions alert pilots about closed runways, equipment outages, and other potential hazards along a flight route or at a location that it could affect the flight. Let's see. Today's FAA catastrophic system failure is a clear sign that America's transportation network desperately needs significant upgrades. Americans deserve an end-to-end travel experience that is seamless and secure, and our nation's economy depends on a best-in-class air travel system, something that has not been provided for the last several months.
So cynical New Yorker that I am, I'm thinking, no, this would be even over the top for the FAA to set this up right right prior to the 2023 FAA Reauthorization Act.
Oh, we need more money.
Look what will happen if you don't fund us better.
Mhm.
Sometimes that's the only way you get the money you need.
All right. So yeah, big to do today with the FAA. I'm sure they're got a little bit of egg on their face with this one, and hopefully they work to ensure this doesn't happen again. So next up in the news is the FCC releases a proposed rule to give drones more spectrum access. This is a several, is it 100? No, it's longer than
114 pages.
that. Okay,
I still need
114
to read
page.
all 114 of those pages.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm getting
I
there.
haven't gotten there yet, but the FCC proposed new rules on Wednesday that would improve wireless communications on unmanned aircraft systems by allowing access to the 5 gigahertz band. Building off a 2020 report advocating for UAS access to the 5030 through 5091 megahertz licensed spectrum, FCC officials look to bolster the capabilities of UAS in critical missions, including disaster relief and consumer uses. It's past time that we assess the availability of wireless communication resources for the increasingly important remote piloted aircraft activity we rely on today. FCC Chairwoman Jessica Rosenworcel said Wednesday in a statement, the FCC must ensure that our spectrum rules meet the current and future spectrum needs of evolving technologies such as unmanned aircraft systems, which can be critical to disaster recovery, first responder rescue efforts, and wildfire management. FCC officials are looking for input on the safety measures that may be necessary to help UAS operate across flexible use wireless networks. The agency is also requesting comments on ensuring flexible use spectrum bands could support aerial drones and devices as well as terrestrial operations without interference. Let's see. The rule additionally requires that UAS operators obtain a formal license to ensure compliance with current airspace law. This would further permit operators to communicate with air traffic control and other aircraft within the spectrum band. So let me pause here for a second. So the FAA says don't communicate with air traffic control. And then the FCC says communicate with air traffic control. Which is it?
Well,
Just
we've had numerous DAC and NAC recommendations that were accepted by the FAA, which were that we desperately want UAS pilots to be able to talk to aircraft. We did not, and we were explicit that we do not want to talk to air traffic control. And members on the various committees representing, I mean, they're ACTA members, so union members of the air traffic control management organization. They're of the same mind. They would love to have UAS pilots talk to crewed aircraft. They do not want a required data flow of chatter coming in from UAS pilots. They would like to be able to talk to them in an emergency, and this would be beneficial.
So interesting.
So what's very, very curious is they just lobbed that. So a couple of comments on the whole FCC thing. If can I jump in, or
Yeah,
did you
go
want to
ahead.
say more?
No, go ahead.
So the one is that most of this has to do with C2 or command and control, that they dropped in communications. Is like, where did that come from? I mean, it's great that it did, but and on the same spectrum question. So far I've identified 3 major areas of this, and I think you picked up on 2 of the 3, Josh. One is that it's allocated spectrum. Great. So this is 10 years. Reminds me of Grosse Pointe Blank. 10 years. So it really has been that long that they've been asked to work on this. And of course, this was in the FAA Reauthorization Act of 2018. It's Section 374, where the FCC was told to work with the FAA and the NTIA to fix this and create allocated spectrum. So that's great. What's interesting is every time you see a reference to the 5 gigahertz band, there's no reference to 900 megahertz. So the
Well, they interfere in a little bit.
congressional, did they? Oh, good.
Yeah,
Because
so it says
I've not
interference
touched
with
that.
Interference with other networks is the primary concern for permitting UAS access to the spectrum band, particularly with increased business and consumer needs. The congressionally mandated report supported access to the 5030 through 5091 megahertz band and raised concerns over the proposed access to the 960 to 1164 megahertz band.
Right. So there most definitely were concerns, but there are concerns on the 5 gigahertz as well. But so I'm nervous that what we might see is an elimination of the availability of the 900 megahertz range, and so that's what Crossfire uses predominantly for their long range stuff.
Yep.
So the next is you need a license for this. So that's bizarro, in the sense that today, if you fly a private aircraft, you can just check a box and use a radio in your aircraft, and you do not require an FCC license. So the fact that that the FCC wants UAS pilots and operators to get a license is like that I have an issue with. The third and most significant and worrisome piece of this is shared spectrum. And so there were enormous issues with this. So the FCC, over the last couple of years, has been auctioning off chunks of spectrum for billions of dollars. And the concept is, well, if we allocate spectrum to UAS, maybe we can share it with cell phones. And so that the UAS can just release the spectrum if they need it, if we're hitting a capacity situation, because they're just aircraft, right? I mean, seriously, this is what the proposal was several years ago.
They're just aircraft.
So-
They'll just drop out of the sky and land on people. No big deal.
No problem. So I don't think there's a mechanism, but this NPRM most definitely does talk about sharing spectrum. So we'll go back. So it's probable that we will ask folks to respond to this NPRM, and it'll same rules of be professional, polite, and productive. And we cannot copy and paste on an NPRM because that just reduces the multiple counts to a single count. So we'll want we may provide some recommendations and ask folks to add in comments. I think this one could be very serious.
So, and Alex kind of brings up 5030 through 5091 is barely enough for 2 pilots FPV feeds. This is not for video transmissions. This is command and control. So this is for actual control of the aircraft at that level. So,
well, it's probably for the Amazons and Wings and delivery drones to be able to talk back to their headquarters halfway across the state. That's what it's for.
Keep in mind,
not
this
for
But
us.
also, I wouldn't want to use. Yeah, I also wouldn't want to use 5 gigahertz for control link either.
Yeah. Well,
I'd rather lower frequency.
Keep in mind that this is probably going to be like they're setting aside this chunk, and this is just my theory for cell phone networks, towers, to create that network of command control over distance, as opposed to an individual with a transmitter in their hands.
No, this is wireless. This is wireless spectrum, and this is command and control 5 gigahertz.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Well, I mean.
So
each their own, I guess.
So much for So this is
my theory.
So as folks are coming on and learning about what we do at FPVFC, and we're digging into FRIAs and stuff like that, we'd spend a lot of time on NPRMs and trying to understand proposed rulemaking. This is central. What's also interesting is I dug out the Tasking Group 6 subgroup on spectrum that I led, and so that we wrote a whole document and a series of recommendations to the FAA. Now, there were people who were so smart on radio frequency transmission that I was able to pull together and create a coherent story and set of messages. This is not my area of expertise. And further, this was just one of the first DAC tasking groups I worked on. The FAA got together a group of stakeholders, and they received 9 written comments from serious companies, General Atomics, RTCA, Boeing, etc. And they did not want to share these comments with anyone. So I was able to find the names of the people who submitted, and we tracked down, I think, 8 of the 9 we were able to receive. So we've got comments on this work from 2 years ago. So we've got great background and good contacts. So we'll hopefully see from around the industry what's the take, as opposed to just being able to trying to discern what's what in the NPRM ourselves.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe
So
this
it'll
is
be
the FAA just saying, or FCC saying, all right, fine, here's your spectrum. Hope you're happy. And then when there's everybody complaining, it's like, well, what do you mean? You asked for spectrum, we gave it to you.
That's
Even if
right.
it's
Yeah.
worthless and
What's
useless
the
for the
issue? Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah. That's not my problem. She wanted spectrum. Yeah. So this one is worrisome, but we'll see how this goes and we'll see also what some really smart people in this space what their reaction is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wonder if will the comments be public like they were on the remote ID? Or is
They
that a
should
normal
be.
Well,
thing?
every
Could be.
comment on an
That's a normal
NPRM should
thing.
be public on the
Yeah.
Federal Register.
Right. Should, yeah. This is a formal NPRM. They should be public. Yep.
All right, so this comes out of my home state and actually same local area as myself. So do it somewhere else. Glendale, Arizona residents asking Walmart to stop drone delivery service. So this is just a couple miles north of me. But people in a peaceful area off 59th Avenue and Bell Road were in for a rude awakening when they saw Walmart begin testing their large delivery drones.
So you're not
Residents,
buzzing the homes there with the FPV to just
no,
stir things up a little, aren't
no, not at all. Residents say it sounded like a helicopter flying directly above their homes. It sounds like a hornet's nest that's been kicked up, said Mike Baxter, who lived in the neighborhood for 5 years. The drone, spanning multiple feet in diameter, can deliver items weighing 10 pounds in 30 minutes. I'm not against drones, but do it somewhere else. It's not a necessary service here.
Bimby.
Baxter says he moved here for privacy and quiet. Now he says both those things are being violated.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that delivery drones are really invading your privacy all that much, but the quiet for sure.
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah. Autumn Johnson, another homeowner, says the noise is alarming, but more concerning is the lack of regulations and laws for delivery drones in neighborhoods.
Yeah, I read that and I was like, oh yeah, we need more regulations.
I really think before this comes, some sort of a pervasive technology, that there need to be parameters in place to protect those kinds of concerns.
There are?
I know, right?
So
Let's
these-
see. So they reached out to Walmart about the concerns and received the following statement. We care deeply about the communities we serve and are always appreciative to hear feedback. Customer safety and privacy is a top priority, and we'll continue to work with community members to ensure our delivery methods are consistent with their needs and desires.
Yeah, their
So,
needs and
Drone Up.
desires are not drone deliveries. They are not needed or desired or necessary.
so where's a Walmart on TG15?
So their drone partner, Drone Up, also sent this statement. We're committed to working with each and every community in which we operate to help people understand not only the value these drones provide, but to answer any and all questions that people have about this innovative technology.
Yeah, we see Drone Up. They're the one of the big Walmart partners on the drone safety team, and our good friend Andy Thurling has transferred from he's left Newair and joined Drone Up, so he's we see him working with us there. But I agree with Alex. There is I don't believe any visibility of Drone Up or Walmart on any of the DAC work that we've been involved in for the last couple of years. Yet Walmart has an area staked out in Arkansas that is almost the entire state. So a little bit of pull from Bentonville.
Oh yeah, 100%. Walmart employs so many people; it's ridiculous. I think they're, at least last time I checked, it was like 2.1 million people worldwide. And
That's crazy.
the funny fact about Walmart, here's the funny fact, is if Walmart were to say, "Yeah, we're done, we quit, we're going out of business," not just the 2.1 million actual workers for them, but all the vendors that supply them goods would go under. I mean, it would be a crash of a world economy almost. I mean, they're that big of a company.
Yeah, it would be a measurable effect to the GDP of the United States.
Yeah, and abroad too. I mean,
Yep.
so interesting subjects. So, all right, Apple Watch attached to a drone helps detect gunshots. Norwegian software Triangula has come up with a novel way to detect the position of gunshots using the unlikely combination of a drone and an Apple Watch Ultra. In a post on LinkedIn, Triangula's chief commercial officer, Marius Marentz, posted a photo of an Apple Watch Ultra attached to a drone using nothing more than the standard Apple Watch band. In the post, Marentz said, "We can use an Apple Watch as a sensor in our gunshot detection system. Today we mounted an Apple Watch Ultra on a drone. This is so cool. Triangula's technology relies on the sensors in mobile phones to help detect and position gunshots made by small firearms with a little help from some AI. It's a system that..."
Yeah, this is not
Yeah.
new technology. What were you thinking, Alex?
I was thinking, if a technology like an Apple Watch is so saturated in the people already, what's the point of adding another one on a drone if they can just have it on everyone else's watch?
Have everybody who's
Well, I mean,
carrying
it
one right
uses
now
a...
just be part of the
Exactly.
system.
It's just
Sort of the way
that's probably an easier way to network it
basically the
than
way
put
AirTags
it on a
work.
drone.
You're not wrong. But so it relies on
Oh.
the sensors in the mobile phones to help detect. So it requires their Scout app installed to work, and it has to be set up in, as you know, a triangula. It's a triangle to triangulate the actual source. So usually this would be done with 3 drones. It goes on, but interesting tech, right? Interesting use of tech.
Just seems like someone's like, "Ooh, let's slap this on a drone. See what happens."
Right.
Yeah,
That-
it could be
yeah.
slightly
that's all that pops into my mind.
It could be
Right,
slightly
because
useful in a
you
more mobile sense, like you send a handful of these into a specific location to help you really dial in
Right.
because something's happening in that one spot
Right.
right.
where
Maybe 'cause
hopefully
everyone
there
ran
are
out
no
away.
people getting shot. So.
Yeah, because they've been using this technology to locate gunshots in cities for at least 10 years.
Mm-hmm. All right, so yes, meet, it's the laser drone. So China has, this comes out of China, that they claim that they have a drone that can stay airborne forever, utilizing lasers to keep the batteries charged. A team of researchers from Northwestern Polytechnical University located in China. And according to reports, the team has designed a drone that uses high energy laser systems to continuously charge its batteries. Engineers outfitted the drones with a photoelectric conversion module, which converts light energy into electricity that is then fed into the drone's battery pack. Typically, laser systems are used to zap drones out of the air, but this system would essentially be the opposite, as laser systems would be able to lock onto the drone and keep it charged from great distance. In order to put the drone and laser systems to the test, the team of researchers developed an algorithm specifically designed to track the drone. And the team reported that the laser system was able to effectively track the drone across various environments, lighting conditions, and weather conditions. And then they also use a system to dynamically change the laser intensity based on distance from the drone, increasing the intensity of the laser the further it's out, and decreasing it the closer it's in. So pretty interesting.
Alex, do you have any
What
idea?
happens if I block it?
Ooh, yeah.
Well,
It's
you're
got to be a
charging the
fair amount
battery,
of
so
energy.
theoretically the energy would, I mean, you'd still have battery power for the
Well,
time that you're
after a
doing
while, the battery chemistry is going to be shot,
it. Right. After
and then
continuously charging.
how's the system going to handle all those vibrations? Because that's a lot of fatigue and
Mhm.
cyclical loading.
Yeah, I was gonna say I agree with me. It might be using capacitors. as
Mm,
well
yeah.
to store energy. Those are a little bit more resilient.
But what were you gonna add, Dave?
I was wondering if what's the analogous to line loss in something like a laser? I mean, if they're
Mm,
changing the amount of power based on distance, then it is something
yeah.
analogous to line loss.
What happens if it
Yeah.
gets
I wonder.
foggy?
Don't.
Too many birds fly between.
You just burn the fog with the laser.
So you're gonna blind the whole population.
So it says if it does say that they additionally the tested system included automatic dynamic laser intensity tuning, which was successful, increasing and decreasing the laser intensity based on proximity. And then let's see. Furthermore, the team behind the project reveals reported details of a protection algorithm that is designed to adjust the laser beam's intensity when an object gets in the path of the laser. So no
Like,
blind birds, hopefully.
yeah, or to XJet's point, the cockpit of a crewed aircraft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's see. This just in: a flock of blind birds just crashed into the Empire State Building.
Yeah, we're a little sensitive on things crashing into buildings in New York.
Oh my goodness. All right. So we've got this is it's kind of weird. It doesn't give a whole lot of information, but Mississippi State University has been tapped to lead a major uncrewed aircraft systems research, testing, and evaluation project on behalf of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. The wording it uses in here is a little strange, but let's see. Homeland Security Office of Procurement Operations, on behalf of the DHS Science and Technology Directorate, has awarded MSU a 5-year contract with a funding ceiling of $18.7 million, including approximately $4 million in funding awarded fiscal year 2022. The Raspet Flight Research Laboratory will spearhead the effort. Under the new contract with DHS, MSU will continue to scout, evaluate, and test emerging UAS technologies. MSU has also been tasked with developing a cost-effective prototype UAS that is customized specifically for DHS needs and incorporates capabilities beyond what is currently available. Like what? I'm curious on that
Yeah, blah
that
blah blah
wording
blah
right
blah.
there.
Yeah, there's no content in there.
Yeah.
That was word salad.
But it's just like, okay, so what
20
capabilities are you
yeah,
looking for?
$22
What's
million
weird?
for something. Hey, the interesting news is it didn't go to Embry-Riddle.
Right?
We gotta. So who are the senators from Alabama? I mean, that's
So
22
just kind
million
of a
dollars
nothing
over
burger,
5
but
years.
just strange wording on like, I mean, there's a lot of capabilities on drones, so what exactly are you looking for? I'm questioning that. So
Hmm.
anywho, and then last but not least, and I'm trying to, I don't know anything about this one, Dave. You probably have to take this one. But safety
Okay, yeah.
management
This
systems,
this
right?
really so this we'll read more about. Um, we didn't have to dig into this, but I'm really nervous about this because this says that so SMS, the safety management system, is the all-knowing dancing bear in crewed aircraft for safety management, and so it's tomes of procedures and things that keep aircraft safe, and that's a good thing. The challenge, and we went over this in the safety culture DAC, and including the now chair of the AAAC, Houston Mills, we all agreed one size does not fit all. And everyone was adamant that, yep, SMS is good for heavy lifters that are 150 miles out beyond visual line of sight. But for a toy, it's a ridiculous requirement to put something as heavy as SMS with logs and education and audits, etc. This document appears to say we're going to extend SMS, all of the bureaucracy associated with it, to aircraft manufacturers. So that to me means that includes UAS manufacturers. So
Because drones are aircraft, so any rule that applies to
exactly.
aircraft therefore apply to drones.
Exactly. So
So this
you know,
article is saying specifically
It also
GE
depends.
Aerospace, Boeing, Bell, Pratt & Whitney, and Sikorsky are among the manufacturers affected by the new rule that have approved programs. Let's see.
So the other thing, when the FAA mentions aircraft, it doesn't always necessarily include UAS, because one of the other proposals I saw was an extension for aircraft registration to 7 years from 3 years, and I thought it included UAS, but further looking into it, seemed as it didn't include UAS and it was for normal full scale aircraft and not UAS. So there's a decent chance that that didn't that doesn't include
Well,
UAS
it's probably not intended to apply, but
or but it does include type certified aircraft, which there are type certified UAS for certain operations.
absolutely, BV loss, and any significant BV loss aircraft is going to be type cert. So, so it's not going to surprise me if they draw the line. If an aircraft or a UAS has to be type certified, then it's going to have to go through SMS. But you're on a good point, and given what has happened in remote ID, that we really cannot trust what the FAA says unless it's in writing. This is a point to follow up on, and we'll follow up and we'll see what happens.
So just in a quick Control F search, nothing UAS, UAV, unmanned, any of those terms are popping up in here. So
Right.
just FYI.
And Bruce is asking, of course, recreational BV loss is exempt, and I think he's making a joke there, but BV loss is not being considered for recreational, but of course, standard remote ID is targeting recreational. However, so, a home built does not have the manufacturer requirements. So a huge chunk of recreational could get around or would not be subject to this aircraft manufacturer requirement with SMS.
Well, I mean, it does for commercial for sure.
Yes,
To reply
absolutely.
to chat, yeah.
For carriers, so drone delivery would be included in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
100%. All right, so that's all I have this evening. Dave, you want to kick us off on some FRIA?
Before we get to FRIA, just a quick plug for our friends and I mean that sincerely, our droneresponders.org. This is an organization that Charles Warner and a couple of individuals started about 3 to 4 years ago. I think there are over 8,500 individuals now, or corporations around the world, that participate in this. And this is an organization that benefits public safety, drone operators, pilots, fleets, management, etc. And they have a close relationship between the FAA and public safety. And largely this is good. What's a little the only troublesome thing, I sat in on you can sign on to droneresponders.org and sign up for their webinar seminars. And they had 4 FAA individuals on the call, which is great. They were knowledgeable, and they were falling all over themselves, offering to come out and travel to any event that was happening for public safety. And as the other guys on the screen know, for us to get someone from the FAA to come to a recreational event, it's very difficult, and it's maybe one a year, and oh geez. So this is a large group, and what they're also talking about is the LEAP team, law enforcement assistance program. It's staffed by 25 FAA people. So the focus on public safety is huge and dwarfs anything that's going on for recreational. And of course, recreational is a multiple public safety. So I get the importance. I understand that. It's great that there's a great relationship. Kudos to Charles Werner and the rest of the droneresponders.org team. They've done a fantastic job of providing a link from the FAA and providing information out to safety across the country. So interesting the way that the FAA is viewing the world. As I said, props to Charles and the drone responders folks. Freya.
It's the LinkedIn article. Is it Lexi Jansen? She
Yes,
joined.
yes. Women in drones.
Jet One
Yeah. What's it called, Alex?
or Jetson, something like that.
Jetson. Yeah. So
Yeah,
she's going to be flying a manned quadcopter as a test pilot. It seems like. Which is
Or a
great.
racer. Yeah, I think in where is she working? Was it in
No, it's called Jetson.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's a different company than the first one that she was at. Or I think she's still with the first one. I think she's just adding this one.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Great.
Jetson one. It's an ultralight, or considered one.
Very cool.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the official launch. Let's see here. See if I can do. Oh, of course.
Ultralight Freedom. Okay. Freya. So we are working closely with the FTCA. Great bunch of
FTCA is who?
individuals. Thank you Dan, appreciate it. Is the and yeah, and I got dinged for that pretty good on a Bardwell video, and that's absolutely fair. I speak in abbreviations and
Acronyms now.
acronyms.
Yeah, I think you did pretty well in that
the-
video, but sometimes you could have said the entire acronym, but it got edited for time. You mentioned it in a different part of the video that didn't end up in order. But anyway.
So FTCA, Flight Test Community Association. So this is the CBO part of the flight test companies, plural. They put out a great video, and it was copied here, I think, in the general channel, and it gave a good status of where we are at as a series of CBOs. And where we are at is the FAA has opened up applications to FRIAs, and I assert that was a mistake because the system is not ready. Anyone can submit an application, and that's not how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, so do we want to mention how much? So we're trying to contact the right people within the FAA to ask them, how is this supposed to work? Because it doesn't seem to be working the way we expected it to. And when we brought to their attention how it currently appears to be working, they said, we're going to have to look into that and get back to you on it. Kind of giving me the feeling that maybe it's not currently functioning how they had planned for it to work.
Right. And part of the challenge here is, so as we were applying for the CBO recognition, we dealt with one team, and then we're concerns with FRIA, and that's another team, and then we're describing to them that they probably have a website issue, and that's another team. So this is pretty normal for us, that this is how the FAA works in highly matrixed, highly siloed structures. So we will persist. And as I said, we're working with the Flight Test Community Association. We're working to set up a discussion with the FAA. And we keep telling them, we're really not trying to whine or complain. We really want this in place. Because if you there's a 90-day service level agreement that the FAA will respond, not nail down a FRIA, but they'll respond to your application in 90 days. So, roll back from September. Oh, that's June. So that means we want a lot of these in and done by June. Here we are, it's mid-January. Got to get cracking. Got to get this process working. And I'm nervous that it's not going to be functional until the spring. That's my, just the rate and pace, the way things go. with the FAA.
Yeah,
But
and
we will.
we should mention just exactly how it appears to be working right now. So the FAA said FRIAs can only be applied for by a community-based organization like the FPV Freedom Coalition. But today, any of you who have a Drone Zone account can go into your Drone Zone account, add the FRIA application, whatever they call that widget thing, to your page, and you can fill out an application for a FRIA, and then you can select the CBO you're applying this under. And then it apparently goes off to the FAA for approval. Now that doesn't show up under our CBO, community-based organizations, dashboard with the FAA anywhere. There's no process for the CBO to be involved in this at all. That just doesn't seem like how the rule sounds like it's supposed to work.
Right. So we are with Dan's great background in IT. We will get through this from a perspective of doing it intelligently, securely, respecting private information, and we hope that there is a single repository for the information, and that should be an FAA server immediately adjacent to the NOTAM server. I hope air gapped. I'm hoping. Too soon, I know.
Well, if the NOTAM servers was an 80s system, this got to be at least a 90s system that they're doing the FRIAs in.
Yeah. At least only 20 years old. So we're on it. We're working with the FTCA. I've also saw, I think that the AMA said that they are accepting applications, and so
But haven't processed them.
but yeah,
haven't started processing.
Yeah, they said, oh, the FAA has accepted applications but has not started processing them. I'm not sure about that, and so it would not surprise me if we had to tell people, so you put an application in, yeah, we're going to need to redo it. That would not surprise me even a little. So, our thought is we know what the information is that's required, and that's what Lee Karcher's video spent a fair amount of time about, and that I thought was very sensible. So start gathering the information, and we can go to detail on that as well. And it's in Advisory Circular 89-3 or Lee's video, or we can enumerate it as well. It's common sense, right? Boundaries. Do you have access? Do you have permission to the property? Think about overflight. This is more a fixed wing RC issue than it is for flying FPV. But it's we can put that together. But it is, as I say, it's common sense, and it's available via the AC or in Lee's video. That's all I had on FRIAs for the moment.
All right.
Anything interesting on tasking groups this week?
Well, we're jumping. It's I think we're going to say my New York. I think we're gonna, I think we're going to make the March date. So
for both tasking groups have a deadline of March, which is the next AAC meeting.
AAA AAC, that's correct. Yeah, so I'm targeting a lot of work being done in end of January. Good contributions, good discussions. I think so. I think it could be useful to the FAA, and we've started up an EV law, or so extended visual line of sight subgroup in tasking group 15, which has to do with what can industry do to help accelerate the promulgation of BVLOS rules, which were stated in the Beyond Visual Line of Sight
14.
Aviation Rule Committee.
Yeah, that was 14.
That's 14, Alex.
14, not 15.
That's 14. My apologies.
Okay.
You're absolutely right. So we've got a subgroup going on that, and this has everything to do with low altitude flight, shielded operations.
It's exactly the kind of thing
etc.
we would love to have for recreational FPV flight. Would be, yes,
Right.
you're behind your goggles, you're still flying around trees, you're out of direct visual line of sight, but you're close to yourself. It's not like long range package delivery beyond visual line of sight. This is
It's not like it
local.
hasn't been done before.
It's been done every day with no injury, I mean, no problems. So it really shouldn't be that big of a deal for it to exist for us to use.
Right. On a related topic to shielded operations, I knew there was something I also wanted to mention on the drone responders webinar. Michael O'Shea, the FAA, said we're working on masking, and so masking is akin to it's not 3-bar equal or equivalent, but it's related to shielded operations. So Michael O'Shea, FAA, we're working on this. This will be 107. We're excited about it. We'll have it pretty soon.
Soon, so 5 years from now.
Yeah, well, it's they're fixing to work on it.
Maybe 4.5 if we're lucky.
Right, and I bring that up because we still have yet to hear back from Kevin Morris, who said in an Alien Drones interview, shielded operations not going to happen, and we honestly feel that that's not the case. There's the FAA spent $300,000 out with Assure universities to study the veracity of it. And we know that their rulemaking is working. Their rulemaking organization is discussing it. It was a significant part of the recommendations in the Beyond Visual Line of Sight Aviation Rulemaking Committee. And now we see that the group of people who are working closely with public safety are also involved in it. So that's a lot of triangulation to and I've spoken to the assistant to the executive director who said yes, we're absolutely working on it. So that's like 5 points of triangulation. So I'm convinced that that's something might happen. And, there's positive, it's a positive vector in that direction.
Interesting. All right, Alex, you got anything for us? Anything going on?
Racing schedules dropped.
Well, that's been out for a while.
I know. I'm helping here. How about courses or tiny whoop races?
I haven't done any. There's a couple tiny whoop races. A couple months. There's a tiny whoop race about a month out, but
there's a big one coming up in this month in Arizona, isn't there?
There's the Whooptopia stuff. I don't really pay too much attention to that.
I know. It's little stuff.
I don't pay. Yeah, I'm not too involved with the tiny whoop stuff. I got one, but I don't stay too involved with it. I prefer the 5-inch and speed and outdoors.
Yes, I can relate. Plus the whoops that I have had in the past, the graphics was awful. Now I have an HD0 whoop. The graphics are amazing.
Nice. Cool. Dan, you got anything for us this evening to wrap us up?
No, I think we covered everything I wanted to make sure we talked about in this meeting. I would like to give everybody in our Discord server or everybody else who's watching on YouTube, which has a much higher viewer count than we usually get over there, give you guys a chance to ask questions. Is there anything we didn't cover? Is there something we should be covering? Is there something we can answer now? If not, definitely feel free to ask us anytime, and we'll do our best to get back to you.
Absolutely. What's the capital of Peru? I'd have to Google that.
Yeah, we could probably help you out there, XJet, but preferably the questions are more related to FPV and FAA regulations. But
Peru's important too.
It's like I went into a physician's office and you have to fill out these forms and it says what's your complaint, and I said climate change.
In case anybody's wondering, I looked it up. It's Lima. I should have known that.
The letter P is also the capital of Peru.
Yes.
Mike FPV.
All right. So Mike FPV
Mike-
says, I just joined and I'd like to get more involved. Who do I reach out to?
Send it to me.
Yep.
If you haven't, there is a volunteer form on our website. You could try filling out, which somebody just did today, and I don't know if that was you or somebody else, but
this is that was Dave in Honolulu that sent that.
Okay, maybe it's Mike Dave FPV in Honolulu.
Let's see, did fill it out last week. Okay, we'll look for it, Mike.
I got the one from today, but I'm not sure I got one from before that.
Let me look.
Otherwise, definitely reach out directly to Dave Messina. His email address is on our website if you don't get a response from us. Or yeah, it's posted right there in our chat too.
Let's see. Form submission.
Wait.
I think 02 is talking about a previous thread from earlier today. He's not in the live chat.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions on the YouTube side?
I don't see anything for us to answer there.
All right. Well, with that, I will.
At least it's on the wall of the diner. I appreciate
Which
that
wall?
you said it's on the wall. You know, it's in the kitchen, or it's out in the dining room. Thank you, and we'll leave it at that.
You just have it all over your background.
These East Coasters are always happy when you say the word diner too.
Diner. Yeah, we're going to a diner. Yeah. After drinks, we're gonna go to a diner.
All right. With that, guys, have a great couple of weeks. We'll see you in 2, and have fun flying, guys. If you're flying.
Thank you very much. Take care.